I just located a few new truly cool gemstones. We're going to talk derivatives. We're going to speak about the stock change moving towards tokenization. I have some, in reality, cool new connections on this video that I genuinely fail to understand, that I'm going to be breaking down in the direction of the center to the quit of this video. So stick with me. We're going to be talking approximately the Isda. We're going to be talking approximately Robinhood. We're going to be talking about the inventory exchange moving in the direction of the digital asset tokenization space. A lot of just exclusive connections. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, you're going to like this. So let's begin here. Ripple Labs announces a money transmitter omit transmitter license in New York and Texas. So Blockchain Bills Corporation Ripple stated that it secured a cash transmitter license in the United States of Texas and New York. So in case you didn't understand cash switch license, you are going to basically need it to switch any value in New York. In addition to, if you wanted to start managing derivatives, you need a money switch license in New York City. So the International Swaps and Derivatives Association, which is likewise known as the ISDA, is based in New York City, very vital piece of this. And then I also wanted to apprehend is the New York Stock Exchange operating toward tokenization. It says, sure, the New York Stock Exchange, the NYSE, is actively working toward tokenization. In 2024, the New York Stock Exchange Determined Organization Intercontinental Exchange, additionally called ICE, took a stake in Zero, a tokenized securities platform. This move shows that the New York Stock Exchange is developing interest in tokenization and virtual securities. It says, moreover, the New York Stock Exchange introduced plans to launch coin-settled spot Bitcoin options. Situation to regulatory approval, and of direction, they're also working on some different things, with Goldman Sachs and a few other large, big gamers. So this became massive news when it occurred again in August 2023. If you have been around, you recognize a whole lot of hype and FOMO was created because of this. I just need you to recognize that Ripple did be part of the ISDA, but there is a lot of actually other terrific crypto businesses, I assume like HBAR and Algorand and possibly several others, which can be also partnered with the ISDA. So I simply need to make that very clear. It's now not simply Ripple up here, but what I did suppose became thrilling is when you go to the ISDA webpage and you check Ripple Labs here, it says contacts. It brings up this contact character called Rahul Advani. And so I desired to learn extra approximately him. You can also see Chine Stag Steengrabber added this up as well. So he was pointing out, you recognize Ripple joining the ISDA Ripple and Xrp with the aid of becoming a member of the ISDA is status shoulder to shoulder with financial titans. Direct access to 1.2 quadrillion derivatives marketplace. And you realize right here's simply, you already know more of greater of the evidence that you recognize Ripple did be a part of them. This is new ISD, 8 contributors. And then he also mentioned, he said, and who's Rahul Advani previous to Ripple 12 years on the ISDA. So this gentleman went from the ISDA to Ripple and he'd worked there for 12 years. Prior to joining Ripple, Rahul spent 12 years in monetary services, maximum these days as the top of public coverage for APAC on the ISDA. It's clearly outstanding the people that Ripple lease, right? People from the DTCC, human beings from the United States Treasury, people which have labored for a few high safety like the SEC and the CFTC, and you get people from the ISDA. So in reality, interesting. And I also located this video, which truly is going into a bit more records around all this. It is a longer video, about 4 mins, but I suppose it is packed with a wide variety of really cool clips. If you have not visible this video yet, please stick around. It's quite a few excellent information. So let me region. Congratulations are that allows you to Ripple for joining ISDA, the International Swaps and Derivatives Association, bringing together over 1,000 establishments like BlackRock, Societe Generale, JP Morgan, BNY Mellon, just to call some. How massive is it and what ought to appear from it? Take a look. Derivatives marketplace, $1 quadrillion plus. Now study this. First, test out the connection between Ripple and ISDA itself. Shout out to Cypress Demonic Core. Take a look. Check this out real speedy. We're going to head over to Rahul Advani, launch a few groundbreaking statistics only a day in the past. If you do not know who this gentleman is, he's the policy director at Ripple. You guys can see right there on his LinkedIn. But only a day ago, test out what he announced. Again, shout out to the CypherX research crew. It's continually fine when the past intersects with the present. I'm thrilled to announce that Ripple has joined the Isda, that is wherein he spent 5 years of his coverage career at. That could be very thrilling, is not it? Now, what may want to all of this suggest while we are searching at like Ripple and the capability for Xrp and the ledger and the Dexter paintings in tandem with a purpose to settle and clean all of those derivatives. Take a glance. The query, and Brad, this is an honest question, one of your products is to distribute liquidity through the payments gadget. So the question is, ought there be a run on Ripple? In other words, anyone desires your liquidity. Nobody wants to offer it because there's a state of affairs wherein humans broaden doubts for good motives or terrible about the device. There can be two existing global reserves. Currencies too, I imply to, it's a simultaneous who exist. I do, and I think that would show up. I suppose it is quite practical that quite a few, the arena is just accomplished with the greenback as their reserve forex currency, like every country would like for his or her currency to be the arena reserve currency. That's helped the US. You recognize it truly is grown the US economy, quote unquote, unfairly by using leaps and limits for decades and every different USA. Like, yeah, we'd want to have the arena to be the world's reserve forex. But the only countries that would possibly pull it off is the US retaining its function. Maybe the EU, maybe Russia, maybe one or others. But realistically, most international locations understand that if there's going to be a new world reserve foreign money, it's a country's currency, it's not going to be them. And so they might clearly select a currency that no person can control to one that is controlled by means of their largest geopolitical competitors. And so that is what I think is the biggest viable achievement scenario for digital assets. If those international locations are like, okay, well, the United States dollar can't hold on all the time, but it is now not going to be our forex because no person's going to need to repeat the United States greenbacks. Nobody but the EU desires the EU to replace the dollar, right? Nobody, however, Russia desires the ruble to update the greenback. Nobody, however, China desires the yuan to replace the dollar. So perhaps they might choose a forex that no person should manage rather than one managed with the aid of their maximum powerful geopolitical rivals. So honestly, quickly, guys, I simply want to touch base on this due to the fact, if you're being attentive to what David Schwartz has stated, he talked about China and Russia right now. The Russian economy is in disintegrate, it is in free fall. Corporations all around Russia are going bankrupt. The people can't find the money for their loans. The interest charge in Russia, the base hobby charge, is 21%. So meaning if you went and purchased a residence or you had to refinance cash, anything in your business, you're talking about 25 to 30% hobby. And if you've ever had a high hobby credit card and you understand how insane the hobby stage is, can you believe the interest on something like 40,000, 50,000, 100? That's what human beings in Russia are paying proper now. So I don't see the ruble challenging America greenback every time soon. I do not see China difficult the USA dollar due to the fact they too are experiencing some sincerely terrible economic problems proper now with the real property market.